Hi everyone, this is Alert Day Trading. The purpose of this video and the videos I make is to journal my trades, notice any mistakes I might be making, notice good behaviors I'm doing, and trying to duplicate those, and create good habits. And so today, I was trading DKNG, and I happened to trade this as well last week. And one of the things I've been focusing on is limiting my day trades to one trade per day. And I've been doing that for a little over a week now. But I'm kind of transitioning that into possibly just limiting my daily stop loss, because I took one trade and I still saw potential in the stock I was trading today. I ended up taking a very small loss, and so I figured if the loss I take doesn't equal my max loss for the trade, then maybe I'll go in, but with smaller size. So for example, if let's say your stop loss, your max loss per trade is $100, but you take a small loss for maybe $20. So if you are going to go back into a trade, then maybe your max loss should be only $80 for that next trade. And then of course you can decide after, if obviously if there's no opportunity, don't get back into a trade just to take a trade. But at least you're still managing your risk and managing your losses. So that was the mentality I went in with, just to kind of, expand my limits, because I do feel like I'm trusting myself more in terms of picking quality stocks. The one stock I was looking at this morning was ABIO. That one really went well for, I'm sure, a lot of people. You can see the lows of the day was 740s, and the high of the day is 1350. So that's about $6. So if you bought in around 740s, which probably not many people did. I'm sure a lot of people bought them in the rise and again over here. But anyway, that's almost 100% move from the low of the day. If you're looking at the lows of pre-market or after hours from yesterday, that's almost maybe 150%. You can see it's trading at almost 200% in the day. But I was looking at the daily chart, and it's not, doesn't really fit my strategy. I mean, the daily chart was looking nice, but when you zoom out, you can still see that the stock is in a downtrend, and it's got all these levels of resistance. So I just figured the odds were against me if I wanted to take a trade like this. Maybe in this area I might be interested in, so we'll see tomorrow what's happening. But just because the red lines are much further apart, so there's a lot better risk to reward. So I didn't take this trade, and I'm kind of happy with that, just because I stuck to my strategy and I didn't break any of my rules. I just feel like if you look at each of these red lines, that's probably a large group of people just ready to short the stock. And I'm a long bias trader, So um, so I did pass that up. The trade I was interested in was DKNG, because look at the daily chart. You can see it's just, there's no resistance. So I like that, as I find that you're not gonna have as many short sellers. Here's the weekly chart. Still no resistance. And so where I got interested in was when the stock broke above the pre-market highs. So right here. And my first entry was with a 1 minute time frame. And I think I was a little too aggressive here, just because I think I would have preferred a close above. So here's the red line. This is the pre-market high. So I'm just going to zoom in. And you can see we broke above it, pulled back. My entry was above right here. And so I entered the trade right here as it broke back above this red line. So maybe I think a better trade would have been to wait for some kind of, so you see there's some resistance at $37, the whole dollar mark. So I'm buying right below that whole dollar mark. So maybe just, you can see here it broke above $37, and then we had a pullback, and then a little bit of continuation. So maybe just a better risk to reward, or a better confirmation would have been to buy here. And then even though it didn't continue further than you would hope, at least it's more confirmation here. You're going up and down around this red line, and you're not really sure if that resistance is going to turn into support. But here you can see it really did. Anyway, I did take this trade, and I ended up stopping out at the low of these candles. So my entry was right here, and then I stopped out around here. So I took a small loss. My smallest risk position sizing is with the 1 minute. And then I still saw potential. I feel like I just prematurely entered the trade. And then, so here, I was looking at the 3 minute. You can see we pulled back to the 9 EMA. And then I actually went in again at the break above this level. So this candle at the break above that, I was okay with the risk to reward. I was okay with, if we're going to break above these levels, then I think there's good potential. I was eyeing the $37 mark. I was just kind of keeping a tight stop loss, just being conservative. And you can see we pushed all the way up to $37.50. I was hoping for this $37 to hold as the support, but as you can see, we had this big red candle. And I actually also was looking at the 5 minute chart, and you'll see pretty similar right here. I ended up adding to my size at the break of this red candle, $37, and we went up to $37.50, and then I ended up stopping out. So this ended up being a little bit of a break-even trade, and I also made up for some of my losses with that 1 minute time frame trade. And so that was that trade. And then you can see some consolidation right here. And then I got interested again, just because still, this red line is acting as some level of support here. So I figured, okay, let's try again. pretty much break even for the day. Volume is looking good. 10-minute chart is looking good. So I think my entry was right here, and you can see this ended up being the really good trade for the day. Went from $37 to $39 here. And I tried to sell in the 90-cent range, so I actually was 1 cent away from selling at 38.90s. The highest I ended up selling was at 38.44. As you can see, we had a lot of selling pressure right here. So I ended up stopping out and taking profits around here. I did have a little bit of a position just because I exit completely at about break even or at the break of the EMA, and you can see it was holding. So, and then I ended up looking at the 5-minute chart again, and you can see we had a we push higher, and then we had a pullback, and here I actually took another trade. I took it, my entry was right about here, 38.77. This would have been a better entry, but I took the entry anyway, and you can see 38.70s all the way up to 39.50s. I was actually very strict with my stop loss just because I didn't want to give away any of these gains that I had already made. So I took a small profit at 38.90s. I ended up actually selling at 38.90s in this second push higher. And then once I took that small profit, I just put the rest of my shares at break even, and I actually got stopped out. I think in this area, it started to pull back, and then we ended up with a push higher to 39.50s. And so I didn't actually get, I would have ended up selling at 39.40s for more profits, but I was very, very strict with my break-even level. Just like I said, I didn't want to give away any of these profits. So I just added a little bit more profit. I could have added a little bit more, but I didn't want to be giving profits away. So I just looked at it as, if it happens to go higher, I'll make more. If it goes lower, I'll just stop out and, I'll take a very small loss. And I found the risk to reward to be worthwhile. If I had entered around here, probably wouldn't have stopped out. And I would have been able to make that other, maybe 50 cents more. But anyway, I'm looking back, talking about my trades for the day. I'm very pleased with how I did today. I'm pleased with my sticking to my rules. There was one point over here where I felt like maybe I should have taken some profits in the 36.90s. It's just that my entry was in the 36.80s, so I didn't want to, I felt like that was too close. But I think just still practicing to push the button in the 90-cent range, I think even if it's just a very small portion of your size, I think it's just good practice just to be automatic. I'm trying to just be automatic whenever I see the 40 cents or the 90-cent range, just to push the sell button, because I feel like there's just regardless of what the chart is doing, people are ready to sell at the 50-cent ranges and the whole dollar ranges. You can see it in the level 2. You can always see that the stocks have trouble breaking through those levels, and I've noticed it. And even if you're taking a small profit and reducing your reward potential, I still feel like you're minimizing your loss potential. So I just think it's a conservative behavior, but I also think it's necessary. And as you're growing your trading capital, you know, even though it might be only a 10-cent move over here, that 10 cents could mean, you know, a few hundred, few thousand, who knows, at some point tens of thousands of dollars, that you don't want to be taking these unnecessary losses when you could have ended up with, you know, a small winner. Yes, I understand that you're limiting your reward potential, but at the same time, you're also not being greedy. That's the point. So when you do have these pushes up to your 40 cents and 90-cent ranges, you're going to be well practiced to push the sell button and take good profits. So in this case, it just happens to be my entry was in the 80 cents, but let's say my entry was in the 60 cents range, and I'm so used to pressing the button in the 90-cent range, I won't hesitate, and I'll just take my profits, and I think that's the main point. Like I said before, the purpose of this video and the videos I make is to journal my trades. If you happen to learn anything from my mistakes or my good behaviors, that's definitely a bonus. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. But otherwise, I'm just very pleased with today's trade, even if I had taken losses, and I actually did take a couple losses within the day, but my good habits, I think, outshined that, and I still ended up with profits at the end of the day. But like I said, even if I had taken losses with the behavior I exhibited today, I would have been fine with that. So there you go. One thing I do want to point out is if you see the weekly chart, you know, this is a bull flag right here. I actually won't draw it here. I have to. So if I were to draw some trend lines here, you'll see we have kind of a little pullback right here. So pretty much, you know, we have I guess you can say, ascending triangle or a bull flag. It's the same strategy I'm using here. You have this flag right here. Pretty much the same thing. So I am going to start experimenting with longer time frames. So I usually trade the 1, 3, 5 minute and 10-minute charts. 10-minute very seldom, but lately I've actually been just wherever that bull flag comes up is the time frame I'm going to trade it at, and I take statistics on every time frame, and I see which time frames give me better risk to reward. And I would say in general, if I stick to my rules and stick to my risk to reward management, you know, playing stocks that only that don't have too much resistance, you know, I've pretty much averaged about 1 to 2, a little bit better than 1 to 2 risk to reward, and the potential I've noticed been about 1 to 3 risk to reward. Potential meaning, you know, the high of the stock is here, but you know, I sold around here, so the potential would have been about, you know, but the average potential of all the trades I've taken, and the study I'm doing, this is about over almost 300 trades I've taken with these statistics, and I'm averaging about 1 to 2 risk to reward, you know, realized statistics. Now the problem though is when you don't follow your rules. So sometimes I won't put in a trade into my statistics when it doesn't fall under my rules, because it's going to skew my statistics. So I want to trust my trade plan better, and I have been doing that recently, and I'm noticing a difference. But the point that I just wanted to make is that I'm going to start experimenting with basically all time frames, and possibly taking swing trades, because if you see here, you've got this push higher, all-time highs, and you have a pullback. Now the only thing in this case is I would have preferred that the pullback comes back to the blue line a little bit more. So I might not have taken this. I might have been a little bit weary to take it, or just really use small size, but the risk to reward wouldn't have been too great. But let's just say the blue line is a little bit higher, and you have entry around $32, break even around $27, so that's about $4 risk to reward, and you can see we're pushing all the way up to almost $40. So that's about risk to reward of 1 to 2, and it just happens to be a different time frame, and you can still risk the same amount that you would normally risk on a day trade. And yeah, you might have to hold the stock a little longer. Let's see what the daily chart looks like. You can see here, you can see the daily chart hangs around the blue line. So here we're breaking above the all-time high right here, and then you can see we had to pull back and then break above this level right here, and it hasn't looked back since. So let's look at what the 4-hour chart looks like. So the 4-hour chart, it's a little bit messier, so I probably wouldn't take a trade, because you can see it's breaking below the 9 EMA, and I don't like to see that. So you can see the daily chart, it's pretty much stayed above. I probably would have ended up stopping out a little bit around here, but you know, with a push this much higher, you know, you have a lot more room to give it more space, and this is just whoever ended up taking these trades probably made a lot of money. But this is definitely hindsight. You know, I'm looking back, and so this would be maybe a back test. So I'm just gonna, and I've noticed though that this strategy might work. I'm just seeing it pop up more often than not, and I'm definitely going to start experimenting with it. So, all right, this is definitely a lot longer video than I tried to make, but I think there were some topics I wanted to just discuss. And for myself, I've noticed a big change in my trading behavior ever since I started making these videos. I find that just talking about it, even if it's just to myself, but if there are people, if you're listening and it's helping you, then definitely I feel like it's a bonus. So alright, thanks for watching. Again, the purpose of this video and the videos I make is to journal my trades, talk about mistakes I'm making, focus on good behaviors, trying to create good habits. And if you have any questions, let me know, and good luck.